We're going to be breaking down everything that we're about to see at Saturday night's main event. No build-up show this week, so we're going to go big instead on the preview. So get your comments in. Let me know what you're looking forward to, what you think is going to happen. I want to know your predictions right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, once again, guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Scott. We are here to break down Saturday night's main event on Friday night's big preview. That's right, we are here for a special preview this time around because we aren't available, unfortunately, for the build-up show on Saturday. If you're familiar with the channel, you'll know that we do a build-up for big PLEs and kind of special events like these on the night to get you guys hyped up and in the mood and get us in the mood as well. But unfortunately, that is not going to be the case this time around because it's my birthday weekend and I'm going to be out celebrating and things like that, spending time with family and friends. So unfortunately, it means I'm not going to be here spending it online, but that's where Friday night's big preview comes in instead. So thanks for joining us. And if you are watching on Saturday night to get yourself hyped up in the mood, now you know why there is no build-up show. But here we go. Let's break it down. Let's get into the card. Let's talk Saturday night's main event. I can see some comments coming in already. Casper's in the house, says, good evening, Scott. Back in the house again. Haven't spoken on here for a few weeks. Hope you're well. And Saturday night's main event is coming up. Enjoying WWE at the moment. Enjoyed Raw and enjoyed NXT this week. Casper, great to have you with us as always. Yeah, I'm enjoying WWE at the moment as well. I've got to be honest. I've seen a lot of people say lately that Raw and SmackDown are kind of falling into certain templates and formulas. I'll be honest, guys. I don't watch the weekly shows 3 hours full because I ain't got time for that. When we're doing the watch-alongs, when it was on at a reasonable time, maybe. But yeah, these days I'm just watching highlights. And from the highlights, I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing. So yeah, I'm with you, Casper. I've certainly seen a few people complain. But yeah, I want to know people's general vibe at the moment. Are you enjoying the WWE? Now, there are a few things about this card I think that could be better. But also things about that I really do kind of feel excited about as well. Now, let's talk about the card in a bit more detail very soon. But another comment here from Casper as well. So Saturday night's main event this Saturday should have a women's match on the card and it would have a proper feel to it. It's my only criticism, but should be a decent card and decent show nonetheless. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Casper. We've talked for months and maybe even years now on this channel about the 5-match card situation being a bit of an issue. And now we've got 4. Now, I know it's Saturday night's main event. It's not a full PLE or anything like that, but still feels a little bit odd and that there certainly is a match missing. And because, as Casper says, there are no women on the card, you'd imagine they could squeeze on something. Now, this is being recorded. We are live at the moment before SmackDown hits the airwaves. So, who knows? Maybe they squeeze in something there. But judging by the Raw roster, it doesn't look like we're going to get anything from that side. But there's a lot going on in SmackDown's women's division as well. So there is a possibility that they squeeze something on to the show last minute. Casper also says, talking about some of this stuff on Raw, been enjoying the triple threat matches on Raw recently. Still love Becky Lynch. Glad she went back. And it makes the show so much more watchable. And got another triple threat tonight on SmackDown. We're watching AEW today as well. Yeah, lots going on this weekend, right, guys? Of course, again, this is being recorded before SmackDown, but you've got that. You've got Saturday night's main event. You've got AEW Double or Nothing, and you've got NXT's Battleground as well. So it's going to be a big weekend for wrestling. It's just a shame I'm a little bit busier than I'd like to be as far as covering wrestling goes, but I'll catch up when I can, and hopefully we'll hop on to the channel at some point and give some thoughts about those shows as well. I don't really watch AEW that much lately, and this isn't me trying to be tribalistic or anything like that. I want them to both be good, but realistically, I've been put off quite a bit. But I did watch the Hurt Syndicate promo with MJF earlier today, actually, and it kind of piqued my interest and got me thinking, what's going on in AEW at the moment? Hangman Page and Will Ospreay looks to be a good match as well. So yeah, big weekend there. Lots of interesting matches on the NXT card as well. But we're going to mainly talk about Saturday night's main event here. But any kind of general thoughts on the wrestling industry at the moment, we welcome it. Again, as I say, it is a big weekend, and as Casper says, you've got AEW going on, you've got SmackDown again as this airs. It hasn't happened just yet, but there is another triple threat going on. And like you say, it's great to have Becky Lynch back as well. Casper says, I'm a big Becky fan, Scott. I know Roxanne Perez qualified for the Money in the Bank, but need to push the newer talents on the roster. But wishing Zoe Stark a speedy recovery after blowing her knee out on Raw. Oh my goodness, Casper. Yeah, it was scary, wasn't it? So I wasn't watching live. I saw the news and I wanted to hear what happened, right? So I started kind of looking into it, and then I was like, I don't want to see it. And then usually with these things, I'm in two minds and I end up looking it up. I think we're all kind of a little bit like that in some ways. And I thought, no, I don't actually want to see it. And I kind of randomly came across it. The video came up on social media and I thought, it's there. I haven't looked for it. So I thought, let me just see. And it was nasty. It was really, really nasty. I'm hoping the best for her. It's come at a strange time. Of course, she got put in this little stable, this trio, and with Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler, who both got let go. And then everyone's thinking, what's going to happen with Zoe Stark? And it looks like she was in this match to maybe take the pinfall anyway, because you had the returning Kairi Sane, of course, against Rhea Ripley. Rhea, of course, wins that match. We'll talk about Money in the Bank a bit more later on down the line. Of course, we'll try and cover that as much in depth as we can. But sticking with kind of current affairs, essentially, yeah, it was a real shame to see what happened to Zoe. Wishing her a speedy recovery. It might be a blessing in disguise. I know that sounds horrible to say for someone that's going to have time on the shelf, and the pain she must be going through is unreal. But she may have been lost in the shuffle. This gives her a chance to kind of reinvent herself, maybe think about what she wants to do character-wise. Not saying it was bad or anything like that, but these are always opportunities. By the time she does come back, there might be a hole in the women's roster where they think, Zoe would be a perfect fit here. So it might actually work out for her. Not saying, the writing was on the wall, she was going to get released or anything like that, but it was getting dangerously close to, I guess, her kind of universe within the WWE universe, if that makes sense. So, it might end up being something that helps her in the long run. And this gives her a little bit of time to kind of, but you don't want time off. Realistically, you don't want time off in the peak of your career, do you? So, but if it buys her time and gives her something new, then hopefully that's the story here that we get, essentially. It'd be nice to see her kind of being built up as she comes back. Now, guys, get your comments in, because we aren't just talking current affairs. Kind of generally speaking, as far as WWE and the wrestling world. Of course, we've got a big show this weekend as far as Saturday night's main event. You're tuned into this Friday night's big preview. We like to do these weekend kickoff shows these days on PLEs, and because this is kind of like a PLE but not quite a PLE, and also because we're not doing a build-up show, I figured we'd do something similar but something a little bit different and unique for the show as well. So here you go, the Friday night's big preview. I hope you like the logo and all that good stuff as well. We've gone classic with the ropes on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling logo, if you can see as well, red, white and blue up there. Becky, LOL. No, putting all jokes aside, speaking about Raw, there was probably only one poor week for me a few weeks ago. The rest of the weeks and this week I was invested in and looking forward to Saturday night's main event. That's what you want, right? And thank you very much, Casper. I see your birthday message here. Looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it. I'm gonna have a little barbecue tomorrow, and that will probably go on a little bit later than it should, and that's why I won't be able to go live, unfortunately. But hey, we'll try and hit you with some more content in the coming weeks as well. We've got a lot going on the channel. If you're new here, basically we try and get you hyped up and in the mood, not just preview shows, but of course with our build-up shows on the night of PLEs. And essentially we won't be doing it this time around, but that's what we do in the future. We've also had the opportunity to interview the likes of Bailey in the past. Also had great conversations with the likes of Drew McIntyre. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, guys, and you will find out more about what we do here on Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling. Now, let's move into the subject at hand. Let's break down the card in detail, and let's talk about the matches themselves. And again, I want to know in the comments, guys, what you're looking forward to, what match excites you the most, and what match you think could have been added to this. Because again, at time of recording, there's only 4 matches. Certainly could be a 5th, And there certainly could be a women's match, but maybe not even a women's match. Is there another men's roster match here as well that could be on the show? Because it's strange how they book, right? We've been talking about this for a while with the rest of the members of Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling and some of our friends from the wrestling media world that usually join us on the build-up show. We've been talking about how they seem to run storylines in the background, and it makes Raw and SmackDown fun because you get title matches, sometimes title changes, but then other times you think, yeah, but that should have been on such and such PLE, you know? So I know the biggest one recently that we'll use as an example is the TLC match. Did it make that SmackDown great? Yeah. Did it deserve to be in WrestleMania? Yeah. So, yeah. And would it have made WrestleMania better? I think so as well. Not that it was bad, but hey, it had a few dips, didn't it? Now let's get into this show though. Again, not quite a PLE, but you know what we're talking about. And it's a bit of an odd one to decide which order we do this in, because it's not a clear cut, I guess, like order for things, if that makes sense. Like I'm not 100% confident in a match order. So, let's break that down first, and then we'll get into kind of predicting and talking about the storylines behind these matches as well. So let's talk about the card, right? Quickly going to go through it. We've got Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. It's a rematch, of course, from WrestleMania, this time in a steel cage. We've got John Cena versus R-Truth. Quite an interesting story going into that one. Jey Uso versus Logan Paul for the World Heavyweight Championship. And you've also got Sami Zayn and CM Punk, I should say, versus Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker. So quite an interesting card there. Again, only 4 matches deep. Maybe they'll add a 5th. We'll see how it goes. But at the moment, that's what we're dealing with. Now, if I'm looking at it from 24 hours removed, I'm thinking you got you got one title match, right? You got one title match, which is the world title match. Now, you think there's a world title on the line here. If Cena's not defending his title, then surely the World Championship should be headlining the show. Now, unless Logan Paul wins, which I don't think he should and I don't think he will, that I don't think will go on last. I think the most likely to go on last will be the one with the most storyline progression potential, and that'll be Sami, CM Punk versus Seth and Bron Breakker. So that's the way I'm seeing the card getting broken down. That's the way I'm seeing the headline act kind of being revealed, at least. But then you got the rest of them, So how do we open it up? I got a sneaky suspicion that it might open up with John Cena versus R-Truth. Now, at first, I thought this was for the title, and I'll get to that in a bit more detail when we talk about predictions in a moment. If it was, then that would kind of change a few things here as well. At the same time, do you really want to make Logan versus Jey for the title second to last? Maybe if it's not main eventing, it should go on first. But then you got Saturday Night's main event, where the main event Jey Uso and the World Heavyweight Championship not in the main event. Not a good look. Now, then you got a big stipulation match. This could be a main event, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how they separate this. If I'm going to go off the top of my head at the moment, let's say it might actually open with cage match. Then I say they might actually go into Cena versus Truth, then the world title, and then the tag match. But again, such an incredible card here. There's a lot going on as far as storylines that we can kind of break into as far as, going forward as well. There's a lot of kind of storyline potential here. So let's start breaking down these stories again and talk about the predictions themselves. Get your comments coming in, guys. I know Casper's holding up with the chat at the moment, but those lurking in the background, we want to hear what you've got to say as well. What you're most looking forward to, and who do you think is going to win these matches? Casper does say R-Truth versus Cena, Punk and Sami versus Bron and Seth Rollins, then Damian versus McIntyre in the steel cage, and said, I thought CM Punk was going to turn if Heyman wouldn't have screwed him. Yeah, it looked like Punk could have been turning around Survivor Series time, but it didn't happen. He got turned on himself. Casper says, and Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. Jey needs to retain Love and Jey as champion at the moment. I don't think it's time to take the title off Jey Uso, if I'm honest. Because it doesn't make sense. Like, all right, Logan Paul wins it, and then what? He goes and faces Gunther? I don't know about that. I don't know about that just yet. I mean, they're both heels. If you're turning Gunther babyface, maybe. For me, it doesn't really work. Now, it's an interesting timing, of course, because not far from here, you've got Money in the Bank in just a few weeks' time. There are rumors still about Evolution Part 2. Another Saturday night's main event, I think, is meant to be coming up in a few months as well. So it's a stacked period, essentially. So, it's going to be an interesting one. to see where we go from this show and whether or not it really does play into storyline. Because let's be honest, the past few Saturday nights of main events have been fun, but they haven't always had the most progressive storyline kind of, moments or anything like that. But they've been good. They've been enjoyable and kind of a lot of background stories, if that makes sense. Christopher says, happy birthday to the late Bray Wyatt. Thank you so much for reminding me, buddy. I've been thinking all day. Oh, you know what? I got to mention that. So I'm glad you've got that in there early, mate. As you say, happy birthday to the late Bray Wyatt. Still such an unbelievable heavy loss to the wrestling industry. But hey, what we can do is celebrate his life and remember the good times. And I've seen a lot of clips going around today and pictures and stuff like that. Just remind you of some great times of not just Bray Wyatt as the wrestler, but of course the man behind the character, Wyndham Rotunda, as well. So yeah, love to his family. And Bray, a well missed person from the wrestling family. Christopher also says Roxanne Perez needs to win Money in the Bank. It's looking good for Roxanne, man. Like myself and Lucas were talking, I think, on what was the last show we were talking about? Backlash. I think we're talking about on those streams. We were saying it's a bit weird that they've took the foot off the gas of her, essentially. Since then, no, she's properly on Raw now. Like, she's nearly in the Judgment Day, and they're really using her. And it goes back to kind of what they were doing at the start of the year with the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber as well. So yeah, maybe a bit too soon. I'm not saying this too, like, she's not good enough, but maybe it'll be too soon as far as WWE have other plans for her before that. But yeah, it's a good shout. And we always say on this channel, the Money in the Bank and the Royal Rumble are great when they are helping someone break through that mid-card to upper mid-card to main event level. The issue here is she's not in that upper mid-card stage just yet. She's not solidified in that stage just yet. She's been great in NXT, but she's skipping over the mid-card essentially. Now it works more so in the male roster because it's a bigger, more fleshed out roster, and you've got history behind those mid-card titles. The mid-card titles are still quite new on Raw and SmackDown for the women's divisions, right? So it's not exactly the same as the men's, but still, I do like it when it's someone breaking through that. So maybe Roxanne winning a mid-card championship would be better first. But hey, I wouldn't be against her winning the Money in the Bank as well. Casper says, yeah, didn't realize it was Bray Wyatt's birthday. Yeah, Casper, it is today. A real shame to kind of have to be talking about him in this sense, as far as he's not around anymore. But again, nice to celebrate his life on a day like this as well. Christopher says, if Roxanne Perez wins Money in the Bank, she would be the youngest person to win Money in the Bank at the age of 23. Wow, that's incredible. Quite the stat there. Thank you for that, Christopher. And would be therefore the prodigy in the bank, says Christopher as well. Thanks for the comments, guys. Keep them coming. And again, we'll break down the card in more detail very soon. But I'm loving the conversation we're having so far on this special stream, the Friday night's big preview here from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Casper also says, I would love to see Becky versus Lyra again at Saturday night's main event and Becky win this time. Yeah, they've kind of stepped off that feud, I guess, in that sense. It certainly could have been on this show. But yeah, it's not going to be, it would seem, at this moment in time. Again, possible that a fifth match is added late in the day. Possible that something changes on SmackDown. Again, if you're watching live, SmackDown hasn't happened. But if you're watching recorded, because again, we're not doing a build-up show sadly on Saturday night, and this is taking the place of that, then you may know there might be another match added, and there are women represented. But if they're not, it will be a real shame, especially if they're not used in a kind of a backstage. I mean, that's not good enough either, don't get me wrong. But there could be something in the ring. There could be a Miz TV type thing or something like that. Or someone gets attacked, or just come out and do a promo, because they are a little bit treated like Raws and SmackDowns as well, these Saturday night main event shows as well. So they're still really interesting, I think. I mean, they're 39, 40 deep or something like that on them now, obviously. But in the modern era, there's not been too many of them. So they're always kind of changing, it seems, what they kind of see this show as. 5 years since Hana Kimura passed away. Is that, wow, 5 years already? Yeah, another sad one there as well. Such a great talent who seems to have a lot going for her. So, yeah, very sad with that. But look, let's move into Saturday night's main event now in a bit more detail. Let's talk about this card. And again, I want to know what you guys think is going to happen at I was going to say PLE, not quite PLE, but you know what I'm saying. And what match you are most looking forward to on this show as well. Right, let's get to it. We talked a little bit about Logan Paul versus Jey Uso. So let's dive straight into that one there. Again, I don't think, after top of the kind of prediction here, I'm going to say it straight away. I don't think Logan Paul's winning it. Do I see a scenario where he could become a world champion, particularly this title someday? Yeah, I do actually. And look, there we go, round and round essentially talking about this all the time. Don't worry about whether or not it'd be a good idea. I think giving him a US title was a great idea for the time. Let's be real now. What the US title is and isn't is kind of clear at this stage. So I think it made sense. I remember saying, when he went up against Roman, I was like, I don't want him to win the title, but I could understand WWE being kind of itching to do it because he'd be walking on red carpets with a title. He'd be in the background of his podcast, and that pretty much is what we saw happen with the US Championship. So I can understand WWE's temptation to do it again, but it's kind of not a good look. Even though he's a great performer, and that's the thing that everybody says a lot about Logan Paul, he's entertaining in the ring. It's still, if you haven't watched it WWE for a while and you're familiar with Logan Paul and you hear Logan Paul's won the world title, I think that's something that's it might make some people tune in, but not for the long run. It'll more likely make people go, oh yeah, that's why I stopped watching that, or something. It's risky, essentially. So they need to be careful if they're going to do it. Now, look, I'm talking about something I don't even think they're going to be doing, especially not here anyway, not this week. And I don't think Logan Paul's winning it because it just doesn't really make any sense at this moment in time. Where do they go with that? Right, Logan Paul faces Gunther. Okay, right, in a few weeks' time. And then he ain't losing straight away, surely, to Gunther. I mean, that would be a bit crazy if he did. I can see a lot of people liking the idea of Gunther battering him and humiliating him, taking time off him quickly. But I don't think that's what they're going to do. I think Jay's going to win it. Now, Gunther versus Jay, again, is not something I'm massively excited about. I liked what they did at WrestleMania. I know some people didn't like the ending. I actually didn't mind it that much. I did think it was a bit quick, but I liked the thinking behind it, I guess, as far as, using his finisher on him and stuff like that. But tapping maybe a bit too quick. I thought it was a decent match, and I thought what they did at the last Saturday Night's main event was decent as well. And it just shows you how much has changed since then. I remember that was a week before the Royal Rumble, and I remember thinking then, all right, this feud's over. Then he won the Rumble and went after him, and I was like, why have that feud? Was that just a tester to see? And that's what it kind of feels like. So, we've come a long way now. Jey Uso is solidified as the world champion. So it'd be a shame for him to lose it at the next Saturday night's main event. Again, I know they're spread apart, but kind of bookending it essentially either side of his title win, I think would be a bit of a strange one. So for me, Jey Uso should keep the title. And, maybe go into a different kind of story. There's a lot more potential with Jey here. I think he is in a unique position where, we've not seen this character in this position at all, essentially. Not this version of Jey Uso, not as a singles competitor, not as the Yeet Man Jey Uso. We haven't seen this before, essentially, other than the IC run. But yeah, not to this level. So for me, I think there's more legs essentially in it. The reason they've given the title is kind of clear for me. He's over. He's making the money and he's entertaining. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea at the moment, but I think there's certainly good reason to kind of put him in that position. Maybe not for 6 to 9 months or a year or anything like that, but yeah, I don't think just yet is a good time to take the title off him. So maybe again a few weeks time. I don't think it should be Gunther. I think that'd be bad. But moving into maybe Seth Rollins or something like that. But there's so much we can break down when we get to that match in just a bit. But those are my kind of key thoughts on Jey versus Logan Paul. I think it's going to be a good match, by the way, because they are both entertaining, but in different ways. And I know a lot of people kind of weirdly dissing Jey. I think it started when Jimmy and Jey faced each other at WrestleMania, because I've always really enjoyed their work in the ring, and something just weirdly didn't click. And since then, I think Jey's style's been not a little bit different, because it kind of is the same, but it sounds weird to say, but half of his act is missing, because it's kind of like that, like I think what used to kind of polish it and push it over the edge was the fact that there was two of them kind of doing different things and then similar things and then together, things together as well. So I know that might sound a bit silly to say, a tag team partner loses half his moveset, of course, but maybe that's what it is. And I don't mean to say, he's better in a tag team, he's rubbish on his own, because he's not. He is good on his own as well. But yeah, what do you guys think? Are you enjoying Jey Uso's title run? Are you looking forward to seeing this match? And what do you think is going to happen in it? Will Logan Paul be walking away with that championship, and would he be doing it this weekend. Tom Talks Rubbish in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well, mate. As always, love to give shout outs to Tom and his channel. He interviews wrestling media personalities. So if you haven't already, go hop over there and give him a subscribe as well. And hopefully yours truly will be back on his channel for another interview soon. I know we've been looking at locking it in, but so much going on. I keep saying it, Tom. Apologies. We'll get there someday. But if you haven't already, go watch my original interview with Tom. Tom's interview with me, I should say, on his channel. Yeah, it's my birthday week. I could barely even do this content on my own channel. So we'll try and hook something up soon, mate. Right, Casper says, remember so much wrestling this weekend. NXT Battleground Sunday, Raw on Monday, NXT Tuesday. I forgot about that as well. Yeah, good point. It goes all the way. It's like a WrestleMania almost. But good. Saturday night's main event. I can see Damian Priest beating Drew this time. We'll get to that match in a moment, Casper. And also says, I can see Jey Uso retaining. As you said, Jey is entertaining as champion. I'm enjoying it. I don't think they need to take the title off of him anytime soon. But keep your comments coming, guys. Let me know what you think is going to happen. That was Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. Let's move into the one that Casper mentioned just there. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. And as you can see from the graphic, it's in a big old scary steel cage. Now, I'm looking forward to this because I really, really enjoy the work of both guys. And I think they've given each other something to kind of really build off of, because I've said it time and time again, when there were rumors after Royal Rumble that this was going to be the match at WrestleMania, a lot of people, myself included, were disappointed. And that's because we like, it's not because I don't like either of them. I like both of them a lot. I just wanted different things for both of them, and it felt kind of counterproductive. But to their credit, they made that storyline mean something. They used the history that they had over the past year or so together, and they really, really did kind of knock it out of the park, I felt, in their WrestleMania match as well. Or was it Backlash? Am I mixing them up? They had a match at Backlash as well, didn't they? Let's have a look. What was the one where they jumped off the... he did the South of Heaven. What was that off of that thing in the audience? What was that? That was Backlash. Yeah, it was Backlash. Okay, so they face each other at WrestleMania, then at Backlash. So what's the score between these guys now? I'm trying to remember now. Did Damian win the last one? I feel like Drew won the first one. Let me know in the comments, guys, because that'll sway my prediction a little bit, I'm sure. But Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre is what we're talking about now. Christopher thinks, just going back to the other match we did just there, Jey Uso will win, and also thinks that Damian Priest will win this time. Let me know, Christopher or Casper or anyone else lurking in the background. Let me know who won what. Am I right in thinking that Drew won at WrestleMania and Damian won at Backlash? Because again, I remember that South of Heaven. And it was like a no DQ match or something, wasn't it? It was what was that match? Let's have a look. I don't want to be typing out while I'm on air, but here we are. It's annoying when they do the same match again, because all you get is people talking about the current match. So, right, who won at Backlash? Let's see if I can find this. In the meantime, Casper says Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre winning again, but as you said, like both the draw. What as in it was a draw, or was that meant to say Drew? Was that a typo? I can't tell what you were saying there. Let's have a look. Come on, Drew McIntyre. Mate, it's literally everybody just talking about the bump. All right, Backlash results. What the heck? It was only a few weeks ago. Backlash results. Why is it not coming up? Oh yeah, because it wasn't the two of them. It was a fatal four-way. That's why I'm getting confused. Right. Okay. We're back in the room, everyone. It was a fatal four-way. That was right. They mixed up. They merged two feuds together. Then it was a US fatal four-way. Jackie Fatu defeated LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. The two of those in this match were taken outside. They did that move. They were away while LA Knight was beat up by Jeff Cobb. So there we go. All right, that's where we are. So they have only had their one match. So with that in mind, I think Drew McIntyre won at WrestleMania, right? I'm sure he did. Anyway, whatever. We're going on and on. Right. So Drew won at WrestleMania, says Casper. Christopher says, yeah, Drew won as well. Said Backlash, but I'm sure you meant WrestleMania. Don't worry, we got it. Right, we're there eventually, guys. All right, okay. So Drew won. So Damian has to win. I know it doesn't always have to be kind of 50-50 back and forth, but it depends where they're going with this. Will the feud be ending this weekend? I don't know if it will. It depends where Drew goes next, because I do think there's a possibility for Drew going into a big storyline elsewhere in the card, and it might affect this show itself. So we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, look, if the feud continues, I think either way, I think Damian Priest should win. I think Damian Priest should win, because if the feud does continue, then he should win, and then depending if they're doing something else with Drew or not, you can continue the feud and Damian can win the feud if he wants as well. Or you get Drew moving on to something else bigger and better, and Damian looks strong out of it, and Drew's reaction to that is what kind of leads to what we're going to see maybe elsewhere on the card with Drew McIntyre. You might kind of get what I'm hinting at here, but I'm talking about the tag match and the things surrounding it. Maybe not necessarily at Saturday Night's Main Event, but there's certainly potential that Drew McIntyre will find himself involved in that storyline. But those are my thoughts, generally speaking, on Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. I do think it's going to be a good match. Again, I've enjoyed everything they've done so far, and this is going to be, I reckon, quite brutal, quite good spots. You know what spot I'd like to see? I'd like to see Drew go for the Claymore, and Damian move out of the way, and Drew flies through the cage door and accidentally wins. Now, that's kind of a thing for a babyface to do by accident, but I think Drew could play up to that and be quite cocky. But I just think it'd be a fun spot. Just hit me there. What do you guys think? What do you think is going to happen in this match? And what do you think as far as the stipulation goes? Are there any fun spots that you can think of? Again, they've had the car spot recently. They did the South of Heaven off the kind of production kind of table setup they built as well. Christopher says Damian Priest is the favorite to win at Saturday night's main event. And Casper says, a bit off topic, little, what's your thoughts on WrestleMania going back to Las Vegas? Oh my goodness. Right. You know what? Let's talk about it. Let's have a little bit of sidetrack. We'll have a bit of fun here, guys. I'm here for a little bit longer. It's all right. So let's talk about it. We'll go back to Saturday night's main event in a little bit. But big news. Thanks for bringing it up, Casper. Big news. WrestleMania has moved, right? There's rumors. It looks pretty much all but confirmed that it's going back to Las Vegas 2 years in a row. Now, I'm not a fan of them doing that. And the rumors are, again, apparently that they are going to do WrestleMania there, maybe going forward every few years, and maybe every year have a major event there, even if it's not WrestleMania. And I kind of get it, what do you do for the theme though? How many times can you use poker chips and cards and stuff like that? Maybe the theme will be like shotgun weddings and Elvis and stuff like that, like going forward. But look, I don't like 2 in a row. I don't like 2 in short succession. I mean, the fact that it was meant to be at New Orleans, and I feel bad for people that were looking to go to New Orleans and those that live in New Orleans or anything like that, because they've basically, taken that away in a really horrible way, in my opinion. It wasn't just rumored, like it was announced. The Rock announced it in New Orleans, and that's where I think it's not a good look. We were talking about this in our little group chat off air, and Lucas said, basically, they're becoming soulless and it's all about the money. And look, it's a business, don't get me wrong, but he said they're like the Man City of wrestling now. Now, if you're unfamiliar with football, you might not get that term, but it kind of feels a bit like that. I don't like it. Will I enjoy WrestleMania? I'm sure I will, but I don't like it. I like the New Orleans vibe, but to be fair, as I say, they got it. What was it? 30, 34, and then 42. Like, that is 3 times in 12 years is mad anyway. I mean, 2 times in 4 years was crazy as well. But now we're going to get a state getting it 2 times in 2 years, which I just think is too much. I know they've done similar before. I think it was when it was Atlantic City as well. And they've had a few where they've gone back a few years later as well. But for me, I'm not a fan. But look, money talks, and maybe the Manchester City of the wrestling world is apt, essentially. We'll see. It looks like it's all but announced. Like, it looks like it's going to be official. But yeah, it is a shame. It is a shame because New Orleans would have given it a different vibe, and I'm sure they'll do something special again, but that's part of the fun for WrestleMania, right? You know, looking at where it's hosted and the kind of the logo and the stage and things like that, and the, you know, the moving graphics and the themes that they try and play up to as well is always quite fun. Which reminds me, if you haven't already, check it out on this channel. We did a video, myself and Rob, about all of the WrestleMania logos, basically number 1 to 40, where we broke down basically each and every one of them and talked about themes and WrestleManias and how it works and sometimes doesn't work as well. So yeah, check that out as well. Casper says it's a bit silly doing a card look again for WrestleMania 42. Yeah. You know what? It'd be like when I used, and again, you see it on that video, when I used the pirate stuff twice as well, because it was meant to be at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, then it wasn't because of, you know, 2020 and all that, and then they reused that, which I completely understand when they went there eventually. So that's a little bit different, but similar in the sense that they're using similar graphics. So I think they can do it and make it look good, but if they end up going there like what it sounds like they might be going there like every few years, then that's a lot of card and kind of casino type graphics, ain't it? But anyway, great topic. Thanks for bringing it up, Casper. We'll move back onto Saturday night's main event in just a moment. But again, keep your comments coming. Love them, whether they're on topic or not. We're happy to field them. Again, it's a bit similar to what we do on our build-up shows. You know, regulars will know we go hours on the build-up show. We take you all the way up to the start of the show itself. Sadly, can't do it this weekend, but we're kind of using it tonight's show as a little bit of a replacement for that as well. No guests tonight, just me, but I'm glad to have you guys keeping me company in the comments as well. Casper says, I would like WrestleMania in London at some point. Look, so would I, mate. So would I. I just think, I know they flirted with it a little while ago with the mayor and stuff like that, but I think if they come here, it won't be WrestleMania. I think, but that's what I was thinking before as well, actually. But then the fact that they were basically saying, Sadiq Khan saying, look, we want all the big events. Like they don't want whatever PLA, they want WrestleMania, the Super Bowl, things like that. So I can understand it, but I'm not sure. And when they changed their mind and there were rumors going on, again, it's still kind of rumors at the moment, really. Nothing's been confirmed as far as I know at Friday night at 20 to 11 here in the UK. As far as I know, it's not been confirmed, but there were rumors going around that it's because someone came in with a bigger bid and they pulled away from someone like that. The contract's going to be broken. It's huge. And the other rumors were, well, it's either London or Saudi. And I was saying, look, if it's out of them two, it's Saudi. They're the only, like, Saudi money is what take you away from that. You know, and kind of can convince you to do other things, essentially, because the money they've thrown at WWE for things like Crown Jewel and King Queen of the Ring, what else have they done there? Night of Champions, the Greatest Royal Rumble as well. It just felt like, I mean, they're gonna get it, right? They're gonna get it. So I mean, they're getting the Real Rumble now, aren't they? So it'll be a reasonable time for me to watch, at least. So, right, let's move away from WrestleMania. Yeah, I'd love to have it in London as well, Casper. Hopefully, the dream is still alive for Sunday. Let's get back to Saturday night's main event, though. Let me know in the comments what you think will happen at this show. Let's move on now to John Cena versus the man who grew up idolizing him, R-Truth. All right, maybe not, because R-Truth, I'm pretty sure, is older than John Cena. And certainly debuted in WWE before John Cena did. I remember when he was K-Quick. And the interesting thing about R-Truth is that his character is completely different. Not just completely different to K-Quick was, but completely different to R-Truth, who came back to WWE as R-Truth. You know, Ron Kenned's come back to WWE as R-Truth. And yeah, it was the happy-go-lucky, you know, what's up, and all that. And then the little Jimmy thing happened, right? And it was around John Cena. And that's what's interesting about this feud for me, because it's a completely different dynamic, but they've played off of things that are true to that character, but they've really dialed it up to not just 11, I don't know, 99. This is a bigger scale, because he's still he doesn't do the little Jimmy anymore, but he's silly. The character is silly, right? He's a lovable goof. That's his character these days. But he used to be a lot more grounded in like kind of realism and kind of about his dancing and rapping and stuff like that. I loved him as K-Quick. I loved him as Ron Killings in TNA and on the Indies. I loved him when he came back as R-Truth. I loved the little Jimmy stuff. I love this R-Truth as well. I think he's great. But what I want to go back to is where it all did change. And again, that character changed. It was a heel. and he was acting strange talking about little Jimmy. And then it turned into more comedic. It was laughing at him, but then it was laughing with him, and then he was laughing with us. His character just completely flipped, but using the same elements. Now, I think it's been fun the past few years, but they've gone very far away from what he was. And I always felt it was a real shame that he didn't beat John Cena for the title at, Capital Punishment. Now, this isn't for the title. And I only realized that today when I was setting things up for the stream. I was like, oh, that changes my prediction. I actually thought it was for the title. And I thought, well, there's no way he's winning. Now that I've realized it's not for the title, R-Truth is winning. He's got to win, in my opinion. Now, again, going back to Capital Punishment years back, Washington, D.C., I believe. Yeah, it was. It was a capital theme, wasn't it, right? R-Truth should have won the WWE title. And that was the story for so many of John Cena's feuds in this period. Now, some people will look back on it now and go, what, really? But it would have set us on a different path for R-Truth. Maybe it wouldn't have been as good, ironically, if he'd become a world champion, because his character now is so beloved. Maybe it would have become stale and become something else. But I was really enjoying his heel work at the time. And it had elements of what we see today as well. So I think we could have somehow got there still. But looking at R-Truth now and going, oh, really? Former WWE champion? It might sound strange to people today, but he wasn't that far removed from a character, again, that I really enjoyed as NWA World Champion in TNA. So for me, I always felt like it was a missed opportunity. Now, moving it into 2025 is John Cena's retirement tour. There he is up there. I think Cena's got to lose at some point. Now, ironically, building up to WrestleMania, I know there was a lot of people making memes about it. He was always laying on his front pretty much. I think he'd been RKO'd and whatever else. He was always beaten up. Yeah, he was on his front and his back, essentially laying down flat in the ring. And then wins the big one, makes the big headlines at, he wins the Royal Rumble. No, he doesn't win the Royal Rumble. He comes close, of course. Makes the big headlines at Elimination Chamber, wins that, changes wrestling history, and then gets into this new version of the heel character, which we've talked so much about on this channel already. But he's now in a position where I think he can afford to lose. So, and it will be the cockiness. Now, I don't know if you saw, but at the end of Backlash, after the show, after the John Cena Randy Orton match, which was amazing, by the way, they showed him going out the ring. It was off air, but they kept the cameras rolling and they put it up online, where he kind of was taken aback by the fans cheering for him. And it looked like it was a part of him. And it would have been conscious. They would have done this on purpose, even though it wasn't on the main show, where he started to look a bit like, what am I doing? And he looked a bit confused. And I do think, and I've been saying it all along, that I think Cena will turn babyface before he leaves the WWE, before he hangs up those boots. So I don't think it's happening just yet, but I do think this is something that will kind of knock him a little bit, make him think twice. Then he'll probably double down and be in a heel a little bit after this as well. But I think R-Truth will get the win, and I think he flipping should get the win, not just to make up for what should have happened back in 2011, 2010, whatever it was. Let me have a look at that, actually. Capital Punishment 2011. Yeah, R-Truth versus John Cena for the WWE title. Man, Truth should have won, but you know what? I'll feel a bit of redemption if he wins this time. I saw that thing he did with Wade Barrett on last week's SmackDown, where he basically said, at first he was like, because the whole thing is, if you didn't see it at Backlash, essentially, I'm sure you did. They're saying it now like he helped John Cena win, and then Johnny Cena completely, didn't appreciate that and just gave him, I was going to say the FU, the attitude adjustment through the press conference table. And R-Truth just can't get around his head that John's changed. But at the end of that conversation with Wade Barrett, he said, look, even if I have to beat it into him to remember who he is. So I think they might kind of go down that route, not in a vicious way, but like they'll play the sympathy, in my opinion, for R-Truth, as they should. And I think he'll get one up on John Cena. And people might argue that's not a good look, because the R-Truth of today is not the same of 2011, and therefore, even if he's not winning the title, he's still beating the WWE champ, and is that a good look? But man, I don't care. I'm here for it. I want it for R-Truth. I want that moment, and I think it'll be good storytelling as well, because it gives us an opportunity to take John Cena into that next level as well. But let me know what you think, guys. Do you think that R-Truth is winning the title, winning the match like I do? Can you imagine if it becomes a title match? Then I'll definitely change my prediction then. Christopher says John Cena will destroy R-Truth. Enough said. See, I can see that. I completely understand where you're coming from. But John Cena kind of did that already, right? He threw R-Truth through the table. R-Truth got RKO'd as well, I believe, in that match as well, which was a great match, by the way. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it will be so easy for him. I completely understand why it will be, why it could be. But for me, I don't think it's necessary. Casper says, John Cena winning versus R-Truth. It's a shame not for the title, but I can see John Cena winning. Yeah. See, I think there's a reason it's non-title, because you might as well make it a title match. Like, why is it not a title match, guys? That's what you got to think. That's what you got to think to yourself. Why is it not a title match? Because R-Truth's winning. Maybe. Talking of winning, Casper's also said a bit off topic, not wrestling related. I'm still stinging from Spurs. Oh, don't, mate. Don't. The less said, the better. Christopher also says Randy versus John Cena was better than Cody versus John Cena at WrestleMania 41. It was. It really was. That's a name I ain't heard in a while. Yeah, I actually predicted he might come back at Backlash. So could we see Cody Rhodes return here? And if so, where? What match? Yeah, maybe he saves R-Truth. That would be a nice little spot, right? But then it could still be a title match. But that would be nice. No, this is it. I booked it. R-Truth gets the win. Cena's humiliated. In order to look good, he goes vicious on R-Truth. Cody Rhodes makes the save. Book it. Let's see how it goes. Casper says, I like R-Truth versus John Cena. It should be a fun match, but just my opinion. I agree with you, Casper. I'm looking forward to, just because there is nothing, like, it kind of doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's no pressure on it. And some people might look at it and go, oh, it's a waste of a spot on the card. But nah, man, like, let John Cena have a bit of fun in his final year. Let R-Truth come along for the ride. I'm all for it. Casper says, worse for me being a Man United fan. Oh, okay. Oh, Casper. Yeah, look, I'm an Arsenal fan. Some of you know that already. But I was begrudgingly having to root for Man United just to see Tottenham not win a trophy. But you know how it is. Sports fans are a little bit tribalistic, aren't we? So anyway. Should have got it done, mate. Should have got it done. Right, let's move on to the next match. Let's hope R-Truth gets it done, by the way. And again, keep your comments coming, guys. Want to know what you think is going to happen at Saturday night's main event. You are currently watching Friday night's big preview here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott. And what we do here on this channel is get you hyped up and in the mood for the big PLEs, but also have the opportunities to chat to WWE superstars such as current United States champion Zelina Vega. If you haven't already, go and check that video out on our very channel. We got to talk to her about her cyberpunk kind of image, joining Andrade when she came into WWE with NXT, and her early days as Rosita in TNA. We've also had the opportunity to interview the likes of Bobby Lashley, of course, doing big things at the moment with the Hurt Syndicate. At this time, though, he was very much a member of the WWE roster, and we spoke to him about the Hurt Business and their run in the pandemic era. Then also got great conversations on this channel with the likes of Pretty Deadly and, of course, with Mami as well, who is just, as we said earlier on, signed herself up essentially for the women's Money in the Bank match, and that'll be interesting to preview when we do get closer to it as well. But again, if you haven't already, subscribe and check out more of our content. Casper saying, I'm leaning into R-Truth winning it a little now. Yeah, Casper. Hope I'm talking people round to it. Aiden's in the house, says yeet. Aiden, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. For those joining us late or watching on demand, we appreciate you either way. You can always go back to the beginning. Again, I know a lot of you guys join us on Saturday nights for the build-up show or on the night of the PLA, whatever night it is, essentially. And again, we won't be doing it this time around, but we've got this big old preview for you instead. And so hopefully you'll enjoy this one. Christopher Leclerc says, Zelina Vega, Julia, and Charlotte Flair in the ring tonight on SmackDown. It's going to be cool. Yeah, we haven't seen much of Charlotte lately, of course. Again, this is being recorded just a few hours shy of SmackDown, so it will be interesting to see how that goes down, seeing Charlotte Flair back in the WWE ring as well. Jey Uso Yeet says, Casper. Again, keep your comments coming, guys. Really do appreciate it. Whether you're yeeting away in the background or you're bringing topics like you have throughout the night, we do appreciate you. Also want to know what you're most looking forward to. What match excites you the most on this card? Again, let's break it down here before we go into what I believe to be the main event in a bit more detail as well. We've got Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. Again, just a little quick recap. I personally think Jey Uso's got to win this one and will be winning this one. think it might be a fun match, but I think it's all about going in a new direction with Jay. He's got plenty of opponents coming his way, in my opinion. So maybe first Gunther and then someone else a little further down the line. We've just wrapped up talking about John Cena versus R-Truth. So again, if you've joined us late on live, you can go back and find out what I think of that in depth. But essentially, I'm all about R-Truth, man. I think R-Truth should, and I think he's gonna win that match. I don't know. Am I crazy? I haven't seen other people's predictions that that match around this match, so I'm not sure if I'm in the minority or if everyone's thinking that way. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre, still cage match. I've gone for Damian Priest here. Whether it goes on for a third match or this is the end of the feud, I think Damian Priest will be better off winning this match. I think he'll be kind of better suited for it. I think Drew, and I think it's the same really when we predicted their first match. I think they both should be winning and moving on to bigger things, but Damon is more risk than Drew is because Drew can lose and he's that much more kind of in, I guess, that upper echelon already. I think he could slot into the main event scene a lot easier and seamlessly than Damian could. Not as a talent and how it works, because Damian's great, he's been in that position himself, but the way perception and the way the storylines are at the moment. Let's move into the main event, and Drew might be slotting in there somewhere with these guys in the near future. Will it be a Saturday night's main event? I don't know, but we are here to preview it, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I think will be the main event now. Now, CM Punk and Sami Zayn are going to face off against Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker, the new little kind of duo or stable, if you will, being built up by Paul Heyman. And that's what we're going to break down a little bit further here, guys. I want to know, do you think there's going to be a third member on this show, or is it going to happen in the future, or is it ever going to happen? And if you do think it's going to happen, who's it going to be? Now, if I bring up that graphic, I know a lot of you might be looking to the man over there on the left-hand side. Sami Zayn. Now, if you're new to wrestling, you might be thinking, but he's on the other team. Well, that's how it works, guys. Sometimes people turn into naughty men and they turn on their partner. And will we see Sami Zayn turn on CM Punk, turn to a heel, and go to the dark side, joining up with Seth and Bron? Now, this is just to spend a little bit of time on that theory, first of all. It's possible, right? What I don't want to see is what some people have suggested might happen, where Sami doesn't fully turn heel, he just turns on Punk, and it's like he's still Sami Zayn, and he's not going to join with the other guys. He's just going to, it doesn't like, but we've seen that. We've seen a few of the feuds already. Like, we've seen it with Seth mainly before he fully turned heel, being like, I'm a good guy, Punk's a good luck guy, but we don't like each other in real life. So pick a side. I don't think Sami's position is strong enough to do it. I think it was risky at times for Seth. Seth will get a massive cheer. Punk will come out. It'll be a little bit bigger. And I think it'll be the same for Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's not where he was a few years ago. If you go back and watch the Raw After Mania, I was terrified he was going to turn on Jey Uso because I was so scared of that moment happening. Even though I think it'll be exciting and I love Sami Zayn as a heel as well. And I think he... I'm not getting emotional. I realise I'm kind of dressed like NXT Sammy when I do this, so it looks like I am getting emotional about Sammy. So, it's turning heel. Just a bit of a dry throat. But I think he should turn heel soon, but not here. Mate, if he joins the group, fair enough. If he's not joining the group, I just don't really want to see it. I don't want to see a complication and people just gradually not liking Sammy. Like, if you're gonna make him a bad guy and have him booed, like, do it properly. Have him booed. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I can see it happening because I thought he would turn on Jay and Jimmy a little while ago in that celebration. Didn't do it. So yeah, maybe he does it here instead, or you hold off, and at the next show or the next Saturday night's main event, they build towards Sammy, Punk, and Jey Uso versus Bron, Seth, maybe a third man, and then at that point, so maybe we see a different third man show up this weekend to kind of get the wheels in motion there. Well, maybe there's no third man, but if there is, then Sammy turns, and he turns more on Jay, because that's the story there for me. Jay and Punk, and it doesn't have to be again more this bloodline back and forth, because Punk keeps it fresh, so it's that kind of difference, and it doesn't have to be the same, or it doesn't have to just be him like going, I don't like Punk, and then going, we've seen this with other people though, because Drew don't like him either, and neither, like, we don't need that same storyline with Sammy, I don't think. So it will give it a different kind of element. So for me, that would be the way to do it. If Sami is going to turn and he becomes like a fourth member, will we see a third member? Who would it be? Imagine if it was CM Punk. How weird would that be? It'd be a bit of a twist there, wouldn't it? I don't see it happening, but you never know. Bron Breakker, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Sami Zayn. If we're looking at the graphic there, just trying to pick who I think is going to win the match. And again, some of it does depend on like someone joining them. If someone joins this group and they become a proper group, then Bron and Seth need to win, I think, in order to kind of facilitate that. It doesn't have to happen on that, but I think it makes the most sense. Or they don't get a new member, but they just win because they need to look strong because they're a new team. I really, really, really enjoyed, by the way, Sami waiting on the apron the other day on Raw, and then CM Punk chants were loud, and then the big old pop. I think it was fantastic. I think it really, really highlights just how over CM Punk is. I actually think CM Punk is more over now than he was in WWE before. And I thought about this the other day, but I want to dive into that further, maybe in another conversation with some of the other members of the team and some of our friends from the wrestling media world when they jump on at some point as well, because I think it's an interesting topic. Is CM Punk more over today than he ever was? I actually think he possibly is. And I think it's for various reasons. I think the business is different, and I think the fan base that he's working towards is very different. We were kind of in a minority in the kind of second summer of Punk, as far as, some people just didn't get it. Anyway, let's get into some more of these comments here. Aiden says Roxanne to win the women's one. Is that talking about the women's Money in the Bank? We touched on that a little bit earlier on, but yeah, I do think Roxanne Perez does have a good shout for that. Aiden says my predictions are Jey Uso to beat Logan Paul, R-Truth to win via DQ. I can see that. That kind of makes sense and leads into this. Oh, sexy baby Scottish Truth to win as well. Nice. And Punk and Sami to win here as well. All right, now we've got a few comments here from Aiden, just random names here. So I assume this is as far as a third man. Could it be Dominic Mysterio? Could it be Cody Rhodes? We talked a little bit about Cody Rhodes heading heel on the last kind of month's cycle of streams, but no, I don't see it happening, to be honest. Dominic's just too tied up in what he's got going on with the Judgment Day. That's got to end first, for him to join another group. But yeah, it be interesting. Casper says my comment section throws up. It's cleared now. CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus Bron and Seth freaking Rollins. Nothing happening at the end of the match is a normal finish, in my opinion. Casper doesn't think there'll be any big news or any stories coming out of it. Look, I can kind of see where you're coming from, because they've not really had massive blow off stories kind of at Saturday night's main event, have they? But it'd be a great opportunity to do so, particularly if it is kind of in in front of more eyes, essentially. I don't think Sami Zayn should join Seth's faction, says Casper. I'm not sure. I'm in two minds about it myself, but yeah. And then Casper also says a new member is needed ASAP to join Seth's faction as well. I do agree with that. I think he should have another member in that group, and I'm looking forward to. I think that is where they're going to go. The two of them, I think it will get quite stale quite quickly, if I'm honest. As great as they are and as good as they are together, and the Heyman dynamic is quite fun. Like, it will have a ceiling, and you could argue like too many factions. Triple H seems to love a faction. He comes from the Attitude Era, where they loved a faction, but I was a product of the Attitude Era. I love factions as well, so I can kind of see it, to be honest. So yeah, I do think they will add a new member. Whether or not it be Sami, and whether or not it be Sami just yet, I don't know. I think it's more likely this time around, if someone joined up, it'll be someone different. So get your comments coming in, guys. Who do you think could be joining this faction? Is it Sami? Is it someone else? Is it no one? But if it is someone else, I'd like to know who. Aiden also says Austin Theory after he turns on Waller. See, this is the awkward thing. I've seen a few people say that, but Austin Theory's getting babyface reactions. So it seems like he's going to turn on. The whole point, surely, is to get a babyface out of that team. And it should be, in my opinion, Austin Theory. I think he'd be a great babyface, by the way. He just seems like a cool guy. I've seen a lot of cool videos of him being just great with fans as a heel. So you can imagine how decent he'll be, surely, as a babyface as well. So, and I think he deserves that opportunity. He's been kind of in the wilderness for a while. And yeah, I enjoy his work. I enjoy Waller as well. But yeah, I think this is set up for Austin Theory to turn babyface. But I can see where people would assume he does fit that mold as well. That talent looking to be, in a group and taking on the wing of Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins, and of course joining forces with Bron Breakker. It would be pretty cool as well. But I just feel like there's a babyface in there as well. I think Becky joining Seth, a woman needed in the group. Austin versus Waller soon. It's coming. Yeah, I think Austin versus Waller will be coming soon. Finally, they've teased it for a long time. But I'm with you as well, Casper. I think Becky joining Seth makes a lot of sense. I said it on the Backlash streams as well with Lucas that I think it was a bit weird seeing her backstage act happy at WrestleMania for what Seth had done as a baby, even though it's, we know it's, kayfabe and whatever. It is what it is. But it's difficult when it's a public relationship. And again, I said the same thing with Renee Paquette when she's like a babyface on-screen presenter, but her husband's doing like despicable things and she's got to kind of toe that line, being in the middle sort of thing. So it's a bit awkward. So yeah, I think it aligns better when they're both, and she's a heel at the moment, but it's a great opportunity to put her in that group as well. Aiden says the same thing. Becky, maybe it adds a female to the group. I like it. I really do like it. I mean, there are so many factions in the past where you've gone, a woman would be good in this, the bloodline included. That the fact that they never added a woman, I think was quite a disappointment there as well. Casper, good minds think alike, says Aiden. Yeah, both coming up with the same idea there. Becky Lynch joining this faction underneath Paul Heyman's tutelage. I really like it, and maybe that is it. Maybe that's the person who kind of costs them here. I think it doesn't have to be a return or anything like that. It could just be someone on the roster. And I think that'd be a big shock because we don't always get a woman getting involved in these kind of things, So look, Rhea Ripley in the Judgment Day is a great example for how well it can work, and where a woman did get involved in a lot of men's business and kind of interfered and stuff like that. And I think it worked really well. Bloodline should have added Naomi, says Aiden. Yeah, of course, there were talks about Nia Jax as well. Just a real shame they didn't do that, in my opinion. Right, let's bring it back to the subject at hand, though. Saturday night's main event, the tag team match, Seth Rollins, Bron Breakker versus CM Punk and Sami Zayn. I think the heels are going to win this one. I think they should win it. Punk and Sami can look strong in defeat, especially if they're screwed and there's a new member or something like that. So, yeah, I actually think it would be a good idea if the bad guys win, and that will give us that kind of storyline progression that we need as well. But that does bring us to the end of the card, guys. It's been a great show. Really hope you've enjoyed it with me. We'll start wrapping up, I should, or winding down. One of those analogies, either way, in just a moment. Get some more of these comments here as well. Becky should try and cost them, and then Lyra helps Punk and Sami. That's an interesting thing. You could do a 6-person tag match that way, couldn't you? You don't even need to bring in Jey Uso. That would kind of make sense, right? I could see that. Lyra and Becky still continuing their feud as well, because you kind of need her own storyline, like you did with Rhea. Like, she carried on in the women's division at times, even though she was, kind of messing with the men's stuff as well, because she was in the Judgment Day and kind of sticking up for her buddy. So, yeah. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Friday night's big preview show. Again, usually for PLEs, we do a weekend preview on the Friday. We'll do a watch along of WWE's Kickoff show, which they don't really do for Saturday night's main event. So I thought instead we'll hit you with our own Friday night's big preview. Sadly, I won't be about tomorrow or Saturday night on the channel to bring you a build-up show. A lot of conflicting things at the moment as far as time for us on the channel, and again, it is my birthday weekend, so unfortunately a few of us are busy essentially. Now we'll try and give you as much content soon to make up for that, don't worry. But I really appreciate everybody joining in tonight. The comments have been great, bringing some great kind of topics and discussion outside of Saturday night's main event as well, so I appreciate that. And just kind of again, just a reminder, we are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. We usually get you hyped up with the PLE with a build-up show on Saturday night. Unfortunately, can't do it this weekend, but we've given you this preview instead, and I hope you appreciate it and have enjoyed it, because I've appreciated having you with me. Certainly, it's been a great night indeed. It makes me upset that I'm not going to be around for the build-up show, but appreciate you guys anyway. Appreciate your comment as well, Aiden. Happy birthday, he says. Thank you so much, buddy. Looking forward to celebrating this weekend, and hopefully catching up on a few good wrestling shows once the weekend is out of the way as well. We've got so much going on, again, this has been recorded just before SmackDown. So we start with that. Then we've got Saturday night's main event. We've got Double or Nothing. We've got Battleground from NXT. And as Casper said earlier on, I think it was on Monday, of course, we've got Raw, NXT on Tuesday as well. And yeah, it's quite a stacked weekend. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing how things look as we come through the other side of it. Becky joined Seth at Saturday night's main event, but she's still in the feud with Lyra. Happy birthday. Have a good one. Thank you, Casper, again. Much appreciated. And Aiden says, yeah, a 6-person tag team match at Money in the Bank could be where we see things go with this feud as well. But that's it, guys. We've broken down the card, broken down all the news and the rumors, and we've broken down some of the big storylines coming out of WWE recently as well, as far as Zoe's injury. We've also talked about WrestleMania changing location again. Bit of a kind of awkward, dodgy decision, right? But if you're joining us live and you've just tuned in, then head back and watch it from the start of the show, where you'll see us picking up on those topics as well. But for those that have been with us all along, thank you so much for tuning in. For those that are watching on demand, we appreciate you as well. Please drop your comments there. We love looking at those and trying to get back to you as much as we can as well. I've been Scott. This has been a Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel's Friday night's big preview for Saturday night's main event. Enjoy this weekend of wrestling, guys. It's going to be a big one, and I hope to see you on the other side where we'll break down some of the big stories once again. Thanks very much.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.